Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 4th of July. Yeah, I'm eating kids' icicle thingy. Thought a cool video today. I'm driving around checking on crops. I'll be taking you guys with me. Let's do a quick crop check for the 4th of July. Let you see kind of where things stand right now. Okay, let's start off this crop tour talking about alfalfa. Why alfalfa? Because, well, I'm in control of the camera and I said that's where we're starting. This field right here, this 80 acres, is our last field of first cutting. It is the 4th of July and we have not finished first cutting. We've got neighbors that started second cutting 10 days ago now. We still haven't finished first cutting. But that's a problem, like I was saying, with, I don't know if I already said this one. That's a problem that comes with silage and everything. And this field in particular, we put on the equivalent of 5 inches of rain with our pivot before this thing even turned green. It looked like a parking lot. We're going, well, is it dead? Do we need to go tear it up, plant something different? But yeah, this will finish first cutting. It'll get laid down tomorrow, hopefully baled by this weekend. 100-degree temperatures, should dry out in time. Let's go see how second cutting's coming along. Now, having seen what the last of our first cutting looks like, here's second cutting. This field is doing good. I mean, down here is really nice as you go kind of up the hill there. Not so much, but as you can see, it needs swath bad. We've got a lot of really purple hay like that. Needs cut now. So, covers alfalfa. Let's move on to corn. Hold up. Before we go talk about corn, we got to talk about oats. I almost forgot about oats. Oh yeah, they're gone. Cameron and I got these baled off yesterday. Thanks to random small clouds like that instead of a nice big cloud. They are ugly as hell. By God, they're baled. They're ready to go. We use oats primarily for our sick cattle. We'll put a bale in, or for new cattle that don't know what a feed bunk is yet. We put oats in the pen to help them get acclimated, get them eating, so that way they don't get, for new cattle, that way they don't get sick, or for the sick cattle, oats seem to really help them get back to eating, get their internals all back functioning properly. Now to corn. Okay, hang on, we gotta pause this video for a minute. Pause the crop tour to talk about one of the areas most badass people there is, and that's Jill, our manure spreader. And when I say badass, I mean it. We talked to her a couple weeks ago and said, hey, as soon as we bale off these oats, we need to get manure on that field. And she just said, okay, you let me know when it's baled and I'll be there. The bales were picked up this morning. So that means here it is, 4th of July, and she's already got the inside 3 towers done. You want to talk about an amazing woman. And I'll just go ahead and say it. Our manure spreader's cooler than your manure spreader. By our manure spreader, I mean the lady we hire is cooler than the person you hire. So, on to corn. Okay, enough alfalfa. Let's talk corn. This was the first field we planted, right around the 20th of May, which is about a month later than we normally start planting corn. This stuff, damn near hip high. So the old saying is knee high by the 4th of July. I don't know where that saying started. I don't know how old it is. But supposedly, back in the day, knee high by 4th of July meant you were going to make a crop. So, you know, there's hope. It is humid the further I walk out into this field, which is a good thing. That's why it doesn't look like pineapples out here when it's 100 degrees. Now, knee high by 4th of July, if we're going off of that statement, we got some like this that's way above that. We've also got some, though, that if you took a baby that was born today and stood it up in the field, it's not even baby knee high. So, let's go look at the rest of the corn. And speaking of town getting rain, Look at that thunderhead building up right there. And if it's like yesterday, it's gonna rain to about the truck stop there and just right off that way towards that storm. Lovely stuff. This is the last cornfield planted, and I mean, it is right at that knee-high mark. So it's coming nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, I just wish it was about shoulder height already, like we've had in the past. But even though this is the last planted, it is by far not our worst. I'll take you there next. So Mother Nature has not been kind to this field. So what we got here is flood field. It's about 20 acres. We got another 10-acre field that's not quite as bad, but it's just burning up. Needs rain. You can tell we furrowed it, we've irrigated it. The corn that's taller and actually has a root system, the water was able to reach the roots. But all this really short corn just doesn't have a big enough root system that even though the water is soaking, it's just not getting the water. So the way flood ground normally works around here, you'll come in, furrow it out like it is now, pre-water it before you put any corn out here. You'll pre-water this whole field. Come in, plant into that moisture. Now you got a real deep moisture profile, and the corn can get, I mean, I've seen some years the corn gets 4 or 5 foot tall before you have to irrigate it again. This year, however, because we were short on spring water and we weren't getting any help from Mother Nature, we did catch a rain that gave us a real nice planting profile. Came in here, we planted it, stand came up beautiful. And then it has not caught a rain to help it. And it's been maddeningly frustrating how hit and miss thunderstorms are this year. Friggin' the town, what are we, 6 miles north of town. In the last 4 days, they've had well over an inch of rain in there. This field right here, less than a tenth. And that's another thing. There is a difference in good rain or bad rain, useful rain. Yeah, less than a tenth of an inch of rain here. 6 miles away, over an inch. If we could catch a half an inch on this field, it would make such a night and day difference. But it's 100 degrees today. The 10-day forecast, the coolest temperature, daytime temperature, is 95. 2 days in that 10-day have a 40% chance of rain. So we need a thunderstorm, which, I mean, right there, there's Exhibit A, pop-up thunderstorm. Somebody right underneath that's going to catch a nice rain here in a little bit. But if you live just on the edge of it, you're not. Okay, so let's talk about the different types of rain. So yeah, even in a desert, I do believe there is something called bad rain. That would be a 3-inch rain coming down in under an hour. It would do so much destruction that anything the crops that were still standing up take would be less than what was destroyed. So that's what I consider a bad rain. So now the way I'm talking, there's useful rain and not so useful rain. Example of useful rain, what I was just saying, town got an inch of rain over 4 days. Well, between 4 different storms, it didn't rain for 4 days. That is incredibly useful. What isn't useful is what we've gotten out here, where it's anywhere from a trace to 1/10. I think maybe 1500ths was the biggest amount we got out of that. Now, don't get me wrong. That is 1500ths more than we had. So that is helpful. But when you're an alfalfa farmer and you're trying to make premium green alfalfa for dairies who are almost as picky as horse people. Notice I said the word almost, because there is nothing as picky as horse people when it comes to alfalfa. Who thought horses can't eat weeds? Anyways, getting sidetracked. When it comes to making premium alfalfa, key is you gotta get put up fast and without moisture on it. So you get a little sprinkle come on a hayfield that's already been swathed, it's gonna go from green to brown like that, because it's gonna bleach it. So it's when you go to bale it, then it's going to be all tiger striped and look horrible. That is a big deal. And so this week, yeah, we've gotten, maybe if you add it all up, 2/10, probably at the most on some of these farms. But we've ruined 300 acres of premium, well, what this year is premium alfalfa, and turned it into grinder hay. That is a huge hit to the pocketbook. And that part really sucks. That's enough corn. Let's talk forage sorghum. So, forage sorghum, feed as I normally call it. We plant 2 different varieties. Well, we plant multiple varieties, 2 different types. Silage, which is a dwarf variety, meaning it's only supposed to get about 7-8 foot tall, have a big stalk, big head of grain, weigh a lot. Then we also plant a baling variety, or baling style, I should say. I gotta quit using the word variety. That is thinner stalk, like maybe as big as a pinky, actually probably even smaller. Can get like 15 foot tall, has almost no grain. It works great for baling. Of those, then there's also treatments on it. There is concept treated, which means you can spray it before irrigating with a little heavier chemical before it comes out of the ground, cleans your field up. Or there's not, where you have to spray it after it's come up. So this field is concept treated. That's why it's as clean as it is. And yeah, kochia is next to impossible to kill. You guys find something that kills kochia and doesn't kill plants? Let me know, I'm interested. But notice how clean it is. I mean, there's some pigweeds scattered around, but this is a really clean field. Because I think it was 2 days after it was planted, I was able to get in here and spray it, and by that night, the sprinkler was irrigating it up. It incorporates all that chemical in the ground. Chemical's got some residual that prevents new weeds from coming up. And I mean, we smoked a lot of stuff that's out here. Granted, it's not perfect. There's some pigweeds coming. But this is a very clean field. This is what I want to see. Weeds are difficult when it comes to silage and baling because you're selling tons. Weeds weigh. That's tonnage. But you let the weeds grow. They go to seeding. You come in to swath or chop, and that you can just watch the pollen on them shatter. And they're just went next year's crop of weeds that you just planted yourself because you didn't spray. And that is very frustrating. So let's go look at a feed field that was planted earlier than this, but I couldn't spray it till after it came up. So here's feed. This actually our earliest planted. Yeah, earliest planted. It did not get sprayed until about 4 days ago. So as you can see, pigweeds are starting to turn. Got some compaction areas right here. Let me get out here, Willies. So, as I was saying, got sprayed about 4 days ago. The weeds are really curling up in it. Yeah, that one's singed back, so it'll keep dying. But yeah, so this was our first planted stuff. Planted the day after that cornfield that I said was our last planted cornfield, because we were in a hurry to get the planter tractor switched over. So this is what we got. Now, the problem that I hate about doing this style, as opposed to that last one I showed you, is those weeds that we come in and spray are competing for moisture from these plants. And as you can tell by the look of everything, we need all the moisture going to these plants that we can get. So, last field I'm going to show you is our last planted feed. Has not been sprayed yet. You can see a lot of weeds trying to come up in it, stuff like that. This would be the last feed that was planted. As you can see, we got a lot of pigweed, kochia, and a lot of little pigweeds trying to come up. But more worryingly, we got 2/3 of a stand coming up. So that sucks. But it's hard to get enough water on it, so it's one of those, it is what it is at this point. Just grow what we can, see what we got at the end of the year. yeah, not much more to say about this. I'm gonna leave. It's depressing. Spray the weeds in it probably later this week and move on. Before I wrap up this video, I figure there's one more thing we need to talk about. That's the cattle herd, how they're doing. So as you can imagine, summertime heat, much like a person, calf doesn't like to eat a whole lot either. You know, if you've been out in the sun for a while, you're thinking, well, probably just drink some water than eat a whole bunch. So our efficiency on our gain definitely goes down in the summer, but they still gain really, really nice, which is why we are getting to the point where we barely slow down in the summer, especially on a year like this where we're in drought conditions, so the farm isn't doing as much. We keep the cattle around to keep all the guys busy, as much as some of them don't like it. But yeah, the cattle, they're doing good, other than the Okies. Let's go talk about the Okies. Ah, yes, the Okies. So they have settled in, starting to acclimate nicely. We're getting used to eating out of the bunk. As you can see, the 2 oat bales we put in, oat bales, remember that earlier? 2 oat bales we put in are gone. So why did we have so much trouble when they showed up? It's a combination of a few things. So one, when we called the order buyer and said, yeah, let's do a load, the forecast for the next 4 days was supposed to be in the mid to upper 80s. Lots of chances of rain. I think 5 days in a row chances of rain, ending today. Today was supposed to be originally first day that was going to get into the 90s when we ordered. The day they shipped, which was actually that night, because they were on a truck all night to avoid heat, the truck delivering them took them to the wrong feedlot. Actually took them to 2 wrong feedlots, because a neighboring feedlot actually bought quite a few cattle from them, so they just assumed that's where they were going. So these guys spent at least 1, if not 2 hours more than they should have on a trailer. When they got here, instead of being 85, it was 98. Wound up getting to, I think 100 was our official high. So as soon as they hit the ground, not only were they stressed from shipping, suddenly they were stressed from high heat. Don't know where exactly they came from, because the way an order buyer works is he buys from a whole bunch of barns, usually brings them to some sorting pens of some kind, and then sends out semi-loads from there to play or to fulfill different orders. So there's no way really of knowing exactly where these came from, but based on their hair, their characteristics, they didn't come from somewhere where it was 100 degrees. So they just got slammed with 2 major stresses right off the bat. Our water tank that keeps up perfectly fine was not enough for them in that situation. That's why we scrambled to get the other tanks and everything like that. Unfortunately, out of the 110, we've lost 3. There's a 4th one that we may lose. He's looking a little bit better, like he's gonna survive. But yeah, that was a super, super frustrating evening. And like I said in that video, I mean, it just, you feel so damn helpless because there's nothing you can do. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the wind. So that's kind of a quick, well, not so quick. I'm pretty sure that drug on a lot longer than I thought, but there's kind of a review of how the crops are looking. Again, we're continuing to pray for rain because we need meaningful rain, not bad rain, not useless rain, that useful rain. So we need some rain. Either way, I'm going to sit here, enjoy a beverage, watching a combine running the distance on a little bit of wheat. Do a little pre-gaming here before the evening's barbecue and explosive festivities. So either way, guys, talk to you later. Cheers.